not going to be a dictator, are you? I said, no, 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 other than day one.
There are two key aspects that are related to this rise of would-be dictators. There has to be something messianic about their ascendance, something really special, something almost supernatural, otherworldly. Hitler had this down, calling upon ancient Teutonic rituals and mystique, the old Germanen in the forests of medieval Europe and the pageantry with the old medieval cities. Of course, you have the Soviets, my God, like the playbook of the personality cult of Lenin, Stalin, okay? So these people have to become almost little gods. Same in North Korea, same in China, the pushing of the image. The Nazis were masters of their filming of the Olympics, of their party rallies every year in Nuremberg. So all these people who would have all this power have to show the little man, the little woman, I can do it, and you want to be part of this project. So they take on supernatural abilities, like surviving assassination attempts, creating resources where there had been none before, making connections for people, cutting the deal. This is really key. These people have to seem something more human than most humans. This is key. And so they tap publicity, they tap marketing, they tap psychology. Adolf Hitler stood in front of mirrors a long time practicing these fanatic, powerful speech gestures he made. Goebbels was only too happy to coach him on maximizing dramatic effect at rallies and parades. So this is a great part of the success of would-be dictators. They have to harness the whole messianic flair, and they make a break from the past. My people have been in North America since 1630, one branch in Boston, one in New Amsterdam, now New York. And my people went with the country. We fought in the War for Independence from the British. We fought on the Union side of the Civil War. We were out on the prairie building log cabins after we got out of our covered wagons, the whole bit, literally. And that's been a big project. When my people arrived in Iowa in the 1830s, so 200 years ago, there was grass, the natives had been forced out, there were resources, the land, and something was built. People did things. People wanted to erect a kind of new European civilization in the middle of the prairie. That took time. It took consensus. It was often messy. There were disagreements. Sometimes county seats were stolen. All the records were taken the night to a different vine town in that same new county. But it happened. It took time. It was a collective project. Lives were lived. People were born. People married. People got sick. People went to war. People came back or not. People died generation after generation after generation. A would-be dictator comes in and says, no, all that's gone before is inadequate. It no longer works. If it ever was adequate, I can do it better. What we have is sick, disgusting, disastrous, horrible. Everything that is now needs to change. Well, of course, the implicit message is, or sometimes it's explicit, I will release these new energies. I will create this new thing that everybody will be wowed by and so impressed by. We're going to have a great new era. So the key, besides being messianic and getting people to fall in line behind you, is to promise a break from the past. And for that to succeed, you, the new would-be dictator, you have to convince at least a large portion of your people that, oh yeah, the way things are already crap. With the Germans, it was easy. They'd had hyperinflation. They'd lost the World War. That's not a very good national record, is it? And often these people come in after a great tragedy. They come in after the collapse of regime. They come in after hyperinflation. They come in after a war. They come in after natural disasters, floods, whatever. So they come in and pick up the pieces, but they need to destruct and make new destruction and level the institutions that were crafted over time through slow processes and consensus and input and different ideas. I taught in Czechoslovakia after the collapse of the Soviet Union, and I saw that the Czechs, who were the only people in Eastern Europe to freely take communism in an election in 1948, they were living off the vapors of their ancestors. They weren't necessarily building new things and creating new sources of income and well-being as much as they were living off what their parents and grandparents and great-grandparents had built. The existing breweries, existing farms, existing things. Yes, they forced businesses and farms together and created these really inefficient, anyway, that's another recording another day. But they lived like parasites on the achievements of the past. I saw what happened, the results of central committees, the groupthink, the echo chambers. Popular opinion was not solicited. Popular involvement was not wanted. So I've seen the results of this, and I still live in the former Soviet bloc in what was once Eastern Germany. I see the damage when people forget how to be involved and someone tells them what to do. A footnote, even though I'm filming these, I'm recording these little talks, these teach-ins at the moment in Ireland. Next week I go back to Germany. I see what happens when you have a dictatorship. The West Germans had dictatorship for 12 years, the Nazis. The East Germans had it for 56 years, the Nazis, followed by the Soviet occupiers, and then their own communist. Dictatorship changes the culture, and not for the good. I can't point to any place in the planet that's had a dictatorship that things got better because of it. Neither Mussolini in Italy or Franco in Spain, or taking the little people out of the decision-making processes does not make this golden era. An echo chamber of some big leader and the yes men and women around him, it's almost always him, not always, but almost always, doesn't move things forward sustainably in the long term. So we need to see this as a fundamental flaw of dictatorship. It's a system, and for a while it might deliver the daily milk. It might keep the schools open for a while. The hospitals will function for a while, but under Nazism, it was built-in obsolescence. It wasn't sustainable. They were living like parasites on the Aryanized factories and film studios and breweries and offices of the Jews. Their apartments, you send up all those Jews and your buddies who are Gauleiters, the local Nazi leaders, they're cannibalizing the work of the past. The Nazis weren't so creative economically. They promised a lot, off of terrorized Jews and of the dead and dying ancestors. Another essential ingredient to the successful rise of a would-be dictator isn't just to appear messianic and to promise the destruction of the old decadent order. You're going to bring in a new, super, much better order. You have to have the people who are willing to see you as the new Messiah. You have to have the people, like with the Nazis, stand along the parade route, being rabid in their adoration of the leader. Der Führer means the leader. Without this missing element, it won't work. And that could be a religious messianism, where literally religious figures, either the leaders of religious bodies or the followers in religious bodies, fall into line behind a would-be dictator. It could be groups, for example, like youth groups or academic circles, people who endorse, the trade unions. But for this to really work, to have a dictatorship, at least at the beginning, some group has to fall in line. In the Soviet Union points, there were peasants who got in line. There were workers who got in line. Later, many of them regretted their earlier support, and then it was too late. But without these people to blindly and adoringly follow the leader, I always say one of my favorite maxims is, Hitler never drove a single train to Auschwitz. He got other people to do it.